When I say routine and when I say consistency, sometimes that can come across as monotony. In fact, for leaders, it can often come across as hustle. And like if I'm consistent, then I'm going hard every day, then I'm showing up every single day. And there's truth in that. But where that is born from matters. Where that comes from matters. So one of my favorite stories from from one of my best friends in high school. Um, I don't know where the inspiration came from, but somebody had given me the idea to ask someone whose opinion I trusted um, to describe me in one word. If you could describe me in one word, what would it be? And I probably asked this of multiple people, probably, but there's one, and I remember where we were standing. I remember what hallway it was in. I don't remember what I was wearing because I don't really care about clothes. I remember what friend it was, and I remember what she said. And so I had asked her, I said, her name was Beth Ann, and we're still friends. And I said, what's one word that would describe me? And she said, I don't want to answer right away. I want time to think about this. Okay, cool. I can respect that as much as I wanted like the instant satisfaction of knowing the word. I choose my friends very carefully, and I knew that she was someone who was thoughtful. Okay. So it was like a week or two later. I thought she had forgotten about it, and we stopped in the very first hallway. Our school had multiple parallel hallways and then two on the end that connected them. We were on the very first one at the front of the school, and she said, "I have my word to describe you. I know what it is." And I was a little terrified because there was so much like buildup behind this. And she said, persistent. And I was really offended. I'm not sure why, but I was super offended by this word, persistent. And now at 44 years old, I look back on it and I think it was such a huge compliment. I think she probably was embodying a lot of things about me in one time and in one space, and persistent is what came forth. And I think it's such a compliment. Like now that I can look back at this, I think it is such a compliment. Um, to me, persistent embodies dedication, not giving up, consistency, and dependability, right? Like I'm gonna make it happen. If I say I'm gonna do something, it's gonna happen, right? And I think that just really was such a beautiful reflection. Now, if we are showing up consistently from that space, from the dedication, the determination, the self-awareness, the self-reflection, then it's going to look very different and our results are going to be very different than if we're just white knuckling it and trying to get through. If we're hustling because we're supposed to, if we're staying busy because we feel like we need to look busy, your results are not going to be the same. You're not going to feel the same while it's happening either. One is going to burn you out, and one is going to cause you to thrive and grow and succeed in ways that you never have before. And so sometimes those actions can look similar, sometimes they can be hard to decipher between the two. But where that is being born from makes such a huge difference. And we hear a lot in leadership world, like just show up every day, no matter what. That's the secret, consistency. Um, I see TikTok videos about this where women are like, this is why I succeeded, or they'll put like in quotations as if someone else were saying to them, like, I'm so jealous of your success. And then it's like, but this is me, and it's showing her like tears streaming down her face, and she's still writing in the notebook, and her in her bathrobe, and she's still in front of the laptop, or her dragging herself out of bed and still showing up at the meeting plastered with this like fake smile on, right? And I get it. I get it. Yes, consistency for sure. You show up every day, no matter what. And I think that advice at best is incomplete. I think it's a facade. I think it's a manifestation of fake it till you make it. And that doesn't work. Y'all, it doesn't work. It works for a short time. And so we give it all this credit that it doesn't deserve. But at its worst, it's why so many high achieving people end up feeling like they're failing, even though they're working themselves into the ground. And I have been that person. I sometimes still am that person. I'm not going to try to pretend like I'm not. That still happens to me sometimes. And a lot of the clients that I work with, this is what they're struggling with. And I can speak to it so clearly because it's also a struggle of mine, because I've been there, because I have dug my way out, and because I still consistently, consistently, that's ironic, struggle with it, right? But that version of consistency, it doesn't account for the genuinely hard seasons. I won't even say days, seasons. The days where things are sad, where the most intentional thing that you can choose to do is like not work though, right? Is to take some rest. And so I want to offer you a different version of consistency and one that I think actually works better. um, I want you to think in your own mind about when you've told yourself that you're going to be consistent, like maybe at the gym, with a practice, how you lead your team, how you invest in yourself, whatever that is. And then think about a time where life happened, right? Your spouse said that they were going to leave you. Your bank account was at less than zero, and your card declined at Publix, where your flight got canceled on a vacation that you've been looking forward to for over a year, or your Airbnb said there was a flood and so they just canceled and refunded, but now where are you going to book last minute? Or where someone quit on your team and you weren't prepared for that, where you dropped the ball and made a mistake and now you have to eat crow over it. Think about those things. It might be a hard week or a month or a whole streak of things that just breaks you and you feel like you failed. And I want you to think about the grind and the hustle version of you that shows up in that space. The one that ignores your needs, ignores reality, just feels like you have to show up. There's a hospital here locally. I joke all the time about this, and their slogan is "We show up." Like stupidest, like what PR team approved this? Because it was the dumbest thing. The nurses, I probably shouldn't say this. I probably shouldn't say this. The nurses there have this inside joke like, yeah, I showed up today. Like maybe sometimes we don't need to show up. Maybe we need to be in bed. Maybe that nurse coming in with COVID or the flu or whatever isn't the best thing because they're not going to be at their best for their patient. Now they're spreading diseases. Maybe showing up is not the right answer sometimes. Like we show up is not always the best. I hate this. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said any of this, but we're live and I can't change it. So it is what it is now. But you feel like that evidence of we show up is what creates value for you, what shows that you are worth something as a business owner, as a leader. And you're the kind of person who follows through, right? Even when that story is exhausting, even when it's not true because physically you might be there, but mentally and emotionally you tapped out a long time ago. You're not actually there. You're not contributing. You're not showing up well. You're not serving your team well. You're not producing well. You're just like physically there, right? This this is not, again, consistency can look like consistency on both sides of the coin, but the definition of that consistency and where it's being born from is so very different. It is so very different, and it's worth talking about. Again, at best, that definition is incomplete, right? So there was a study that was published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. I'm stumbling over my words. Hold on, let me drink my coffee. Coffee fixes everything, right? The Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. This was in 2024. And it found that people who framed habits in terms of identity, and I do this work with my clients. Literally, we make identity statements if it's, something that they need. I am a person who, right? I had a client a couple of years ago. Gosh, has it been 2 years now? It might have been a year. I don't know, a little while ago. And he was working on a goal. There was something that he wanted to do. And this was not an issue of his ability to show up and do it. He showed up. He could show up. It was developing the consistency. And so we worked on a set of identity statements. I am someone who cares about this. I am someone who values this, right? And so now every day isn't about, did I check the box? Did I show up consistently? Now it's, am I living in integrity with who I am? Because I am someone who cares about this. I am someone who shows up this way. I am someone who doesn't do this thing, right? Rather than outcomes that were goal focused, we are way more the study published in 2024 actually showed us that our outcomes are significantly more likely to sustain long-term behaviors over time when we anchor into that identity, right? Consistency is not applied discipline. Consistency is clarity about who we are. It's identity anchors. So when you know who you are, then you just get to decide, today, am I showing up as this person, right? As this person. It's not a daily battle against resistance, right? I sit down every day. There are two books I can't lift them all. I have this book, and two more books that are over here. And every day before I start work, I sit down and I go through them. They're my devotionals, they're my journals, they're my strategy and my learning. And I dedicate time every day before I start work to do this. Now, yesterday, Sunday, did I do it? No. There were days I didn't do it. But I can tell you now, there's also an app on my phone that I do every morning as well. I have over 365 days of continuous, nonstop, without a break consistency in reading this app on my phone. It's the Bible app, and I open it every morning before I get out of bed. Most mornings, right? Most mornings. But without fail, like it gives you a streak. And if you miss one day, the streak breaks. And I just hit 365 days of continuously reading this. It might not always be in the morning, but it will happen at some point in the day, 99% of the time in the morning. Not because I'm checking a box. It started that way. It really did. It started that way. But that's not what it is anymore. Now it's who I am. I'm someone who reads her devotional every morning before she starts her day. That's who I am. And I have more examples of that happening than I have it of not happening. And I have more than a year. And I'm not saying this because, like, I'm so impressive and everybody should be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she did that. BS, whatever. But I'm operating from a space of identity. This is who I am, right? And that that causes us to be committed and consistent and show up in a way that is different than someone who's pushing consistency, someone who's fighting resistance to consistency, someone who is checking a box, and our results are different because of it, right? So consistency is always going to trump that intensity of just doing a to-do list, right? So intentionality is consistency. That's the reframe for you. That's the complete version of consistency is intentionality. When you get clear about who you are, what you're doing, and why, your actions are going to be connected with the reality of who you are, the authenticity of who you are. And then you just get to show up in integrity. You're not just writing a goal on a whiteboard, you're showing up as who you are, who Amy really is, who you really are. Even if that day means a day of rest, that's consistency. Consistency is not doing that app every single morning because some days I wasn't feeling well. Some days my son needed my attention. Some days I slept in until noon. And so it was the afternoon when I opened that app. But that was consistency in who I am, right? And then that consistency gets to be long-term success because now I'm not fighting who I am, I'm leaning in to who I am, right? So hard day, you show up how you needed to show up. That's consistency. Easy day, you brought your best. That was consistency. Fun day, you get to be in integrity with who you are as someone who enjoys life. That's consistency. That is you living in integrity, and it absolutely counts towards that consistent routine, right? So this is not a streak. It's a relationship. It's a relationship with yourself. It's a relationship with who you want to be in life. It's a relationship with how you want to show up. And that relationship, just like any good, healthy relationship, is going to survive the bad days, the easy days, the fun days, the hard days, the sad days. It's going to survive all of them as long as you don't abandon you and your identity in that equation. Okay, I have a meeting in 2 minutes, so I'm going to wrap us up. The Nest group is open right now. This is your opportunity to apply and be a part of a group of women leaders who show up on the good days, the hard days, the easy days, the fun days, and have that space to be committed in integrity to who they are, showing up as who you want to be, as who you are meant to be, as who you are growing in to be in that consistent space. And I'm here for you for that investment in time, effort, energy, money, and relationship and commitment to you and to the others in the group. We all pour into one another. You get to be in this space to be poured into and to offer guidance and help straighten the crowns of the other women who are in this group. There's nothing more beautiful on the planet that exists than this. And I cannot wait for you to join. There are 12 max seats in this room, and four of them are already taken. Four of them are locked and secured. I encourage you to fill out the application or message me if you want to talk about whether this is the right space for you and the right time for you. You can also go to amycapello.com/nest or email me at info@amycapello.com. I'm happy to set up a call with you and chat with you. I'm so excited to get this group launched in just a few weeks. Okay, I'm late for my 10 o'clock. I will see you guys soon. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll pop in with you again tomorrow.